Varnax 7 was the kind of place you sent criminals, exiles, or people who pissed off the wrong galactic senator. Dry, cracked rock ball orbiting a flickering sun with all the charm of a rusted bin. It had 2 functioning restaurants, if you counted vending machines as restaurants, no laws after 7 p.m., and a rodent problem so bad the rodents had unionized. Which is why, when 2 12-foot Zircon Dominion soldiers clanked their way through the dust-covered market square like walking tanks lost on a school field trip, nobody dared look twice. Nobody except Tali. 11 years old, scrawny, fast-talking, and armed with more sarcasm than sense, Tali was the sort of kid who could trade a broken wrench for lunch and somehow get change. She spotted the aliens standing in front of a snack dispenser like it was a bomb about to go off, and sighed dramatically. Are you 2 chrome buckets seriously losing a staring contest with a box of noodles? The taller one, wearing enough armor to qualify as his own building, turned slowly. Human juvenile. Explain sustenance procurement device. Tali rolled her eyes. It's a vending machine, genius. You push buttons, food falls out, you eat it and regret everything. She sauntered over, jamming a credit chip into the slot and selecting the least offensive option, nutrient bar that vaguely resembled chocolate. Here, for your dignity. The alien took it like it might explode. The shorter one, only 9 feet tall, muttered in Zirconese, something about honor debts and child emissaries. Tali had no clue and less interest. Look, I don't care if you're space warlords or lost tourists. I just saved you from public embarrassment. You're welcome. She handed over half her sandwich, which technically wasn't hers, but the vendor had already closed and she didn't believe in gods, just karma. The tall one nodded solemnly. You have shown us kindness. It will be remembered. Yeah, cool, Tali said, already walking off. Tell your therapist. The next morning, Varnax 7 woke to the sound of 5 Zircon capital ships entering low orbit, which was strange because 1, no one important lived there, and 2, none of them had announced themselves on comms. Panic didn't even have time to brew before 30 dropships landed in the plaza, and a fully armored general stepped out, flanked by 24 soldiers. We seek the child called Tali, he boomed. She is to be honored. Half the town fainted. The other half hid. Tali, meanwhile, was trying to trade expired rations for duct tape. Oh hell, she muttered. What did I do now? The general found her chewing gum behind a recycling unit and bowed. You fed our warriors. You showed them compassion. By decree of the Dominion, you are now child emissary, a first contact protocol. Tali blinked. What the hell does that mean? It means, the general said, rising, you represent humanity in all future Zircon diplomatic negotiations. Tali spit out her gum. No, I do not, she snapped. Do I look like I've got a briefcase and a degree in alien politics? Your refusal is noted. You are still appointed. No, she said, pointing at her chest. This is 11 years of attitude, caffeine, and unresolved childhood trauma. You want a diplomat? Go find someone who wears shoes that match. The honor is non-negotiable. So's my bedtime. The general paused, then nodded gravely. Then we shall reschedule galactic protocol to accommodate your sleep cycle. Oh gods, Tali muttered. What fresh nightmare is this? And then, as if the universe had decided to see how stupid things could get, a Rothari warship dropped out of hyperspace directly above the plaza and began broadcasting on all channels. We too seek the human child. Diplomatic balance must be maintained. Tali stared at the sky. I gave a sandwich to a space marine, and now I'm about to be the reason 2 war fleets played tug-of-war with a minor. She looked at the general. You better have snacks because this is going to be dumb as hell. By the time the Rothari landed, Varnax 7 had gone from forgotten dirtball to the galactic equivalent of an interstellar press conference thrown in a dumpster. Their ships didn't so much land as descend with attitude, glowing blue thrusters scorching the cracked ground as 3 towering insectoid diplomats emerged like they were auditioning for the role of ominous cryptic villain in a low-budget sci-fi drama. Tali was standing in the middle of it all, wearing her least stained hoodie, arms crossed, and a look that screamed, I hate all of this. We greet the emissary, the lead Rothari hissed in that slithering accent that made everything sound like a threat. The honor of neutral representation must be shared. No, Tali said flatly. I've already been volunteered into one intergalactic nightmare. I'm not signing up for round 2. Refusal is not permitted, the alien said, which, weirdly, was the exact same line the Dominion general had used 10 minutes earlier. She squinted at the two opposing factions, both now lined up and glaring at each other like children who'd just been told they had to share a toy. Okay, let me get this straight, she said. I give a snack to one alien, and suddenly I'm Ambassador Sandwich, and now you psychos want me to be neutral in a turf war I didn't start, don't understand, and would very much like to sleep through? Yes, both factions replied in eerie unison. Tali massaged her temples. Do I at least get hazard pay? A uniform? A cool hat? The Zircon general stepped forward. You shall receive a ceremonial blade. Great. Nothing says diplomatic immunity like cutlery. The Rauthari responded by extending a bioorganic data crystal encoded with 8,000 years of treaty law. This, they said, is your first briefing. Oh, good, Tali muttered. Homework, from bugs. That's when the Galactic Mediation Oversight Bureau showed up. Their shuttle crash-landed in a fireball of paperwork and passive aggression, spilling out 3 overworked, underpaid bureaucrats in matching gray suits. We've received 78 conflicting declarations of emissary recognition in the last hour, one of them said without even blinking. We are here to audit the child. Tali's eyes twitched. No, she snapped. No, we are not auditing the child. The child is about to audit you, starting with what the hell is wrong with this galaxy? The bureaucrats looked alarmed. The generals looked confused. The Rothari looked like they were considering war crimes. Tali looked tired. Look, she said, I'm just a kid who gave away half a sandwich. I didn't ask to become the diplomatic linchpin for 2 militaristic superpowers and a bunch of clipboard-wielding tax goblins. One of the Dominion aides whispered something. The general nodded. Then we must escalate. Tali raised an eyebrow. Escalate? Like negotiations? No, he said solemnly. We will host a feast. The Rauthari buzzed in outrage. A feast without Rothari culinary parity is a declaration of taste war. Taste war? Tali echoed. What, are you going to throw salad at each other? We do not consume salad, the general said, horrified. It is considered a precursor to treason. The Rothari clicked menacingly. We eat what we kill. Tali looked around at the chaos. Dozens of warships, 3 alien species arguing about etiquette, and a group of bureaucrats debating her tax status, and realized she had one weapon left. Sarcasm. Fine, she said. We'll host a feast, one condition. State it, both the generals said. She grinned. I choose the menu. They hesitated. And what is on the menu? Spaghetti, Tali said, with meatballs and garlic bread and fizzy drinks that make your eyes water. The aliens exchanged glances. This is acceptable, the Rauthari admitted. I have heard of garlic. It is feared. Tali leaned back in her chair. Damn right it is. Welcome to the peace talks, losers. The feast began with the kind of ceremonial overkill that would have made a royal coronation look like a garage sale. Dominion drones descended in synchronized formation, laying out long metal tables with surgical precision, while the Rauthari dragged in crates of raw meat and stared at the ovens like they were ancient demonic artifacts. Tali sat at the head of the table, legs swinging, arms folded, and an expression that said, I swear to God, if anyone dies during this dinner, I'm going to scream. The bureaucrats had already filed 3 complaints about the lack of seating charts, and one of them had a mild panic attack when Tali insisted the garlic bread be served before the starter. This is not protocol, he muttered, clutching his datapad like a holy text. Protocol can suck it, Tali said, stabbing a meatball and glaring at 2 Rauthari soldiers who had just started whisper fighting over the cutlery. Use your fingers or use your claws, I don't care, but if you touch that bread before me, I will revoke your taste war privileges. A Dominion officer blinked. Is that allowed? No, she said, pausing to take a dramatic bite. But I'm a human. We don't do allowed. We do results. That shut everyone up for about 3 seconds. Then the Rauthari chef brought out his signature dish, a pulsating bowl of iridescent meat paste that smelled like regret and body spray. Tali stared at it like it had personally insulted her ancestors. What is that? Traditional Rauthari feast jelly, the chef said proudly, fermented for 3 lunar cycles, contains live enzymes. Yeah, Tali said. It's going in the bin. The chef recoiled, as if she'd kicked his soul. But it is the essence of our cultural... It moved, man. It wiggled at me. The Dominion general tried to smooth things over by offering a dish of nutrient-infused sustenance triangles, which was code for gray cubes that tasted like disappointment. Tali took one bite and nearly cried. Why does this taste like sadness and printer ink? It is engineered for maximum caloric efficiency, the general said. Yeah? So is licking a battery, but we don't serve that at parties. Things escalated quickly. The Rauthari demanded their jelly be declared the centerpiece. The Dominion refused to eat anything that hadn't been sterilized with ultraviolet fire, and one of the bureaucrats was now having a nervous breakdown because someone had placed a fork where a spoon should go. Tali stood up, slammed her fist on the table, and shouted the one phrase guaranteed to silence any alien diplomatic gathering. "We're ordering pizza." Everyone froze. The silence was deafening. The stars themselves seemed to pause in their orbits. "What is pizza?" the Dominion general asked cautiously. "It is round, it is greasy, and it will save this galaxy," Tali said. She pulled out a battered, handheld communicator and dialed the only number that mattered, Galacto-Slice Express. "Yo, yeah, hi. It's me again. Yeah, same planet. You delivered to interstellar war zones, right?" The aliens watched in horrified fascination as she ordered 8 pepperonis, 4 meat feasts, 2 vegetarian to avoid lawsuits, and 1 experimental flavor called Void Cheese Nightmare. When the pizzas arrived via drone drop, chaos turned into something worse. Peaceful chaos. The Rauthari discovered cheese and immediately declared it a holy substance. The Dominion became obsessed with pineapple, despite calling it a crime against biology. Tali leaned back, victorious, sipping a fizzy drink as the War Council devolved into an informal pizza party. "So," she said, "we done with the war now?" "We are confused," the Rauthari said through a mouthful of crust, "but also full." "Then the negotiations were a success," she grinned. "Next peace summit's at my house. Bring dessert. This could be the last time we cross paths, unless you subscribe. If you do, welcome aboard. You're now part of our expedition into the unknown."